The Zephyrian Museum of Galactic Antiquities had stood for 3,000 cycles, its crystalline walls reflecting the amber light of twin suns. Within its halls rested artifacts from a million worlds, relics of civilizations that had risen and fallen like cosmic dust. The museum's pride was its unbreakable display cases, forged from compressed neutronium and reinforced with quantum locks that could withstand the death throes of a star. Nothing had ever broken them. Until the day Jessica Chen walked through the Eastern Gallery, she hadn't wanted to come. The museum trip was Jack's idea, her colleague from the Human Diplomatic Corps who insisted she needed a break from the endless negotiations with the Galactic Council. "You've been working yourself to death," he'd said that morning, his green eyes filled with concern. One afternoon, "Just trust me." Jessica had relented, though her mind remained tethered to the stack of treaties waiting on her datapad. Humans were still the newest members of the galactic community. Barely 2 generations since first contact. Every interaction mattered. Every diplomatic mission carried weight. The museum was magnificent, she had to admit. Curator Velkara, a graceful being whose crystalline form refracted light into dancing rainbows, guided them through corridors lined with wonders. Ancient star charts, weapons from the Kryn Wars, musical instruments that produced sounds and frequencies humans couldn't even hear. And here, Velkara's translated voice chimed like wind through glass. "We have our most mysterious exhibit. The artifact of the lost child." Jessica stopped walking. Something pulled at her chest. A sensation like gravity inverting, like falling upward into an infinite sky. The display case stood alone in a circular chamber, spotlights converging on a single object suspended in the center. It was a photograph, old-fashioned, printed on actual paper, something the galactic community had abandoned millennia ago. The image showed a human baby, maybe 6 months old. She had wispy brown hair and wore a yellow onesie covered in tiny ducks. Her eyes were closed as she slept in someone's arms, only partially visible in the frame. Jessica's legs moved without permission, carrying her closer to the case. Her heart hammered against her ribs. The artifact was recovered from a derelict vessel at the edge of the Void Nebula, Velkara explained, her crystalline form shifting with academic enthusiasm. 17 cycles ago. The ship bore no identification, no records. Only this image remained. Analysis dates it to approximately 32 of your Earth years ago. We've been unable to determine its origin or significance. Jack touched Jessica's shoulder. "Jess, you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." She couldn't respond, couldn't breathe, because she knew that photograph. She knew that yellow onesie, those tiny hands, that angle of light coming through a window that shouldn't exist anymore. "That's me," she whispered. The words hung in the air like an impossible equation. Velkara's form flickered. I do not understand. That cannot be correct. The vessel was found in deep space, far beyond any human-explored territory. Your species had barely achieved orbital flight when this ship was recovered." Jessica's hands trembled as she reached toward the case. "My mother. She said I had a photo like that. The only one that survived the fire. The fire that..." Her voice cracked. "The fire that killed her when I was 2. Jack's face had gone pale. "Jess, that's impossible. How could your baby photo end up in a ship in the Void Nebula? That region hasn't been accessible to humans until last year." "I don't know." Jessica's fingers touched the quantum-reinforced glass. "But I know that photo. I know that window. I know those arms holding me." The case exploded. Not outward, but inward. A implosion of impossible physics that sent neutronium shards dissolving into quantum foam. Alarms shrieked through the museum. Velkara reeled backward, her crystalline form pulsing with shock. Jack lunged forward, pulling Jessica away from the display, but the photograph remained, floating where the case had been, untouched by the destruction. Security drones materialized, their weapons charging. Museum staff rushed into the chamber. Velkara's voice cut through the chaos, trembling with disbelief. "The case. That case has withstood meteor strikes, antimatter weapons, temporal anomalies. Nothing has ever broken it. Nothing." Jessica didn't hear them. She reached out and took the photograph, her fingers brushing paper that shouldn't exist, that shouldn't have survived space and time and impossibility. The moment her skin made contact, something changed. The photograph began to shimmer. Text appeared on its back, not printed but forming from the paper itself. Written in a hand Jessica recognized from half-remembered dreams. My dearest Jessica, if you're reading this, then the impossible has happened. The bond between mother and daughter transcends space, time, and even death. I couldn't let them take you. I couldn't let them find what you carry inside. When the ship arrives, trust the boy with green eyes. He's been watching over you longer than you know. The human race needs you both. The war is coming. Mom Jessica's world tilted. She turned to Jack, seeing him, truly seeing him for the first time. The way he'd appeared at the diplomatic corps exactly when she'd needed a partner. The way he always seemed to know when she needed support. The way his green eyes held depths that didn't match his supposed 28 years. How long? She asked, her voice steady despite the chaos erupting around them. Jack's expression shifted, the mask of the friendly colleague falling away to reveal something ancient and sad and determined. Since you were 2, since your mother activated the beacon, since she sacrificed herself to hide you from the collective. The collective? They're coming, Jess. They've been hunting your bloodline for 10,000 years. Your mother was part of the last human civilization. The first one. The one that fell before recorded history. Before humanity evolved again on Earth. He gestured to the photograph. She sent this forward through a temporal rift, knowing that someday, somewhere, you would find it. That the bond between mother and child would break any barrier. Even unbreakable glass. Velkara's voice interrupted, filled with dawning horror. The collective. They are legend. Myth. The civilization that devoured galaxies. They're real. Jack said quietly. And they're 3 cycles away from Earth. Unless we stop them. Jessica looked at the photograph in her hands, at the image of herself as a baby, held by a mother she barely remembered. In a moment that had somehow traveled across time and space to find her, she thought of the treaty negotiations, the careful diplomacy, the slow integration of humanity into galactic society. All of it suddenly felt like preparation, like pieces of a puzzle clicking into place. She tucked the photograph carefully into her jacket pocket right over her heart. Then I guess we'd better get to work. As alarms continued to wail and security forces converged on their position, Jessica Chen, daughter of a civilization that refused to die, carrier of something the collective feared, and bridge between humanity's forgotten past and its uncertain future, smiled. The glass had shattered. The truth was out, and humanity was about to remind the galaxy why some bonds, some spirits, and some species simply refused to break.